Good morning, good evening, and good day. Thank you so much for watching Attack Power Gaming. Today, we dive into the best Axis rifle squads here in our video. If you enjoy this content, please hit that like button, and for the many of you not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing and does a lot for me. Let's dive right in. So here we are. We have what I have researched to find the 6 strongest Axis rifle squads. And now, before we all start hitting that keyboard and dropping those comments about the squads that I missed, this is specifically rifle. So like when you go to the armory and go to rifle squads or commando rifle squad, these are the units that come up. Okay, so this is out of those choices there. Not every single unit there is. So for example, Begleit Pioneers, Brandenburgers, those kind of really strong units aren't here because they are not considered rifle squads by the game. So that's why we have these 6 different units here. Generally speaking, if they're not at least 30 points, they didn't make the cut because they probably just didn't have enough firepower at whatever their price point was to include them here. For example, things like one of my favorite infantry squads, the Rosiori. Jakari. These sort of rifle squads, while they're good, they are very good, they do not actually pack the punch statistically that these units here have. So that's how I narrowed it down to these 6 units. And when talking about these, I'm going to be considering basically if they were fighting at their optimum range. So for basically all of these squads, optimum range would be between 100 and 500 meters. Why? Because then their machine guns can still fire and they get all their rifles firing. For example, Begleit Grenadiers, their ideal range would be more like 300 meters because of the MP44s. So that's how we chose these squads, and that's what I'm going off of here for this comparison. So we're going to start with the most basic of basics for the Axis divisions, and that's the Panzer Grenadier squad. Now, really quick, I do want to point out this is the Panzer Grenadier squad. There's also the Grenadier squad. 2 very different things, although first off, the biggest difference is 10 points. A Grenadier squad is only 20 points, while this one is 30, and truthfully, what you're paying 10 more points for is a second machine gun. That's it. That's really the only difference between the 2. So you get double machine gun here, 2 MG42. The MG42 is the best light machine gun in the game. But by far, the biggest issue with it is that it eats through ammo really, really fast. So you run out of ammo in a hurry. If you look at some examples of this MG42, you just tend to be really loud in ammo, and you're firing 1,200 rounds a minute. So it goes in a really fast hurry. Okay, so this is the Panzer Grenadier. It's a 10-man squad. Okay, all these guys, well, these guys have a mix of good and very good stealth. The Fallschirmjager is the exception here, but they're all heavy cargo space. Their strength does vary as well. Optics are also good across the board. So we have a 10-man squad. Submachine gun is the MP40. This is pretty standard for the Germans. Then we have 7 Kar 98s and 2 MG42s. All right, if we look across the statistics here really quick, we can kind of see that each rifle adds 0.1 damage. If you break that out, okay, each rifle adds about 0.1 damage and about 2.5 rounds a minute. So that's how much the rate of fire is affected by how many rifles you have here. 50% accuracy. This one submachine gun will not magically make this squad good in close range. It does not at all. The double machine gun, though, the double MG42, has a nice 1.2 damage, a 1,200 rounds per minute, and an 8% accuracy with that 750 meter range, and also 40 suppress. Okay, so that's kind of our baseline here for our infantry squads. Our next one we're going to look at is the Begleit Grenadier, also 30 points. Comes with 8 MP44s, 3 G43s, and 1 MG42. So really quick machine gun wise, if we look, we can see the rate of fire is half, of course. So basically all the statistics are half because you only have 1. So remember, these statistics do count the number of weapons being considered. Then we look at our G43. Okay, which is a semi-automatic rifle, which are significantly better than the usual rifles here. Okay, why is this still weaker? Because there's only 3 of them compared to the 7. And then we have MP44s, which are quite strong. You get a 2.8 damage here, 40% accuracy, 300 meter range, and a rate of fire of 750 rounds per minute. Now, the big weakness of this Begleit Grenadier squad is, of course, that it only gets the majority of its firepower at 300 meter range. So if you're fighting at this maximum, what we're considering maximum 500 meter range, then this unit is significantly weakened. It's really just a 4-man squad. So that is definitely the big issue. But if you come within 300-meter range, this is a very powerful squad and can really melt opponents really quick. It also has 12 men, so it is a little bit more survivable than its Panzer Grenadier counterpart. If we go over here to the newly nerfed Fallschirmjager, we have probably what I would say right off the bat, not to spoil it, but this is probably the strongest rifle squad in the entire game. I mean, just pretty much hands down, this is the most powerful and deadly infantry squad, rifle squad that there is. I mean, this thing is it's just a basket of damage. We have 2 FG-42s, 6 G-43s, 2 MG-34s, and a Panzerfaust, but we're kind of ignoring this because you can get a Panzerfaust version of the Panzer Grenadier as well. I just didn't put it in here. So we're not really worried about infantry AT at this point. Now, if we look here, I want to really quick highlight the difference between the MG-34 and MG-42 because it does come up. We have a difference in damage. The MG-42 is deadlier than the MG-34. The difference, though, is that the actual MG-34 actually has a little bit better of a suppression. It's not much, but it does make a difference when you're coming into those clutch positions. Of course, it does have a much lower rate of fire as well, but that also means that this thing will last longer. I mean, you will really notice in-game, Panzer Grenadiers seem to run out of ammo really fast. That's because MG-42s really spit out a lot of bullets. So, I mean, yeah, they suppress really fast and they do a lot of damage. They kill things, but they run out of ammo really quick, and that is really dangerous. Actually, for me personally, I prefer they have MG-34s because they can actually, fight for longer periods of time. Then we have 6 G-43s, and if you look here, 6 G-43s do 0.2 more damage than 7 K-98, so that is important to recognize. A little bit more suppress as well, same accuracy in that same range, but almost the same rate of fire. So the semi-automatic doesn't actually increase the rate of fire very much, which I actually find kind of weird. I feel like the semi-automatic weapon should fire like noticeably faster, but I mean, that's just me in terms of like real life. And then you get these fantastic FG-42s, which are essentially, I mean, really, they're like 2 more machine guns. They have almost a machine gun range. They have a higher accuracy. They do 1 damage like the machine gun does. I mean, it's crazy. So you basically have a squad with 4 machine guns. It does so much damage. These guys will kill things so quickly. They're extremely dangerous. 10 man, so they're not huge. They also have the Raider trait, though, which is why they have a higher stealth here, a very good stealth, and they do better behind enemy lines. Continuing on, we go down to the Schutzen. This is only found in the 78th Sturm. And these are essentially like an upgun Panzer Grenadier squad. They have 3 more men, and those 3 more men carry 2 more rifles and another MP40. So that's literally the only difference between these two. But this is, I mean, 3 more guys is a big deal. This also gives them the same rifle power as the Fallschirmjagers up here. They have MG-42s instead of MG-34s, so they get that extra damage, although, again, they eat through their rounds much more quickly. And they do have 2 MP-40s, which can help a little bit at close range. It's not going to be a huge difference, but it is more close-range firepower than your standard Panzer Grenadier, and it's for the same price. I mean, you get 3 more guys for the same price, which is awesome, of course, but if you can only find them in 1 division. Continuing on to another single division squad, we have the Besatzung, excuse me. These are found in Toulon, only in Toulon, and it's a very strong 13-man squad. They are fanatical, which means they cannot surrender. Makes them very strong. They have to be killed manually. You know, they have to be shot to death, basically. 13 men. They have 5 MP40s, 5 rifles, and 3 MG34s. So it's these 3 MG34s that you're interested in at this range, of course. In terms of, like, you know, actual what is your unit good at, the fact that this has 5 MP40s makes it really effective at close range, but it's one of these weird squads that does great at long range because of their 3 MG34s and does great at close range because of their 5 MP40s, but does neither like maximally good. I would say this is definitely better at long range. I mean, 3 MG34s does more damage than 5 MP40s, but this squad is a little bit more flexible than a lot of the others. So that's the Besatzung. Then we have the Hussar Golosoroshok. I'm sorry. Great Hungarian squad found in the what's it called? Group Hartnick and Lovas. Okay, a 16-man squad, still 30 points here. A 16-man squad. We get 12 straight pull rifles, and I'll explain the difference here in a minute. 3 of these Solthern machine guns and 1 submachine gun, and actually like a really strong submachine gun. If you look at that accuracy, 80%, it's almost double what the MP40 is. I've never really actually understood why that's such a gaping difference, but I would love a squad full of these. That would be really good. So the straight pull over the bolt action is actually slightly better as the straight pole. For the straight pole is just a better rifle. You have these in the Romanian divisions, you have these in the Hungarian divisions. They don't do more damage. The damage is the same, 0.1, but they have a higher suppress and they have a higher accuracy, 5% higher accuracy, and they have a faster rate of fire. I know because numerically they obviously do, but if you had the same number, they are actually faster firing and more accurate and suppressed slightly faster. So it's just a straight up better rifle. Now, of course, the weakness is then when you hop over here, we have, a weaker machine gun, of course. It's actually closer, I don't want to say equivalent, but it's very similar to an MG34 when it really comes down to it. You get this, right here we can see 1.5 damage. The suppress on the MG34 is a bit higher, okay? The rate of fire is also a bit higher on that MG34, but this thing has higher accuracy. I mean, this is a dangerous machine gun, especially because you have 3 of them. This whole squad is very dangerous. It's terrible at close range, has none of the close range firepower that the KM Boot Besatzung has, but it can really melt things. And that 16-man squad, this is going to stick around. It ain't dying anytime soon. So these are what I would consider the 6 strongest squads for the Axis divisions. There are, of course, more effective squads for their price, but in terms of raw firepower, what you're getting in a singular squad of infantry, these guys really take the cake. And again, we're talking at 100 to 500 meter range. If these guys end up at 100 meter range, they're not good. They will die. Do not send these sort of squads into woods. I'm telling you right now, and I've mentioned in all my infantry micro videos all the time, all the infantry videos, do not send rifle squads like this into woods. You are literally wasting your points away. A single 20-point AVTO squad or whatever can absolutely decimate even a great squad like this at close range. The only one that even has a little bit of chance, the only 2 that would have a little bit of chance at close range are the Begleit grenadiers because of their MP44s, okay, or this KM Boot Besatzung. The commando squad, the Fallschirmjager, yeah, it can do some damage, but it's not going to do nearly as much as you feel like it should. It's going to function more like a normal infantry squad. So these 2 can kind of hold their own at close range, but it's still not where you exactly want to be with them. Begleits are a little bit closer, a little bit dirtier, but yeah, so these are the 6 squads. I would definitely say the Fallschirmjager is the most dangerous of the 6, although they definitely have their different positions and situations. Your Boot Besatzung and your Hussar Goloshadashok is going to suppress extremely fast at long range, and also they are going to reach out to 750 meter range with all of this power. The Fallschirmjager's got to get within 600 meters. It's not a big difference at the end of the day, but it is a difference. But if you just line these guys up, in a plains and they all fire at each other, generally speaking, the Fallschirmjager is going to come out on top, basically because it has 4 machine guns, and even the rifles are more powerful. They're the most powerful rifles of all these. But the Hussar Goloshadashok can definitely give a run for your money. And the fact that the Schutzen and the Panzer grenadiers have MG42s does mean they're going to pump out more damage faster. They're just going to run out of ammo really quick. So that's definitely the balancing act that you play with these really expensive squads. But you will get a lot of points out of these squads. But remember, for every one of these, your opponent might be calling in 2 20-point squads. And these guys, even though they're fantastic, will lose against 2 squads. I mean, 2 to 1, it doesn't even matter if the enemy squads are kind of junky. As long as they're not like the bottom of the barrel, like rifle-only disheartened troops, these guys will still lose 2 to 1 against a 20-point squad. So that's something to be aware of, okay? The best way to use these guys is probably a little bit more defensively, especially, these, the Panzer Grens, these KM Boots, the Hussar Goloshadashok, the Schutzen. These are definitely more defensive leaning infantry. They're not meant for pushing force. They're not meant for, those kind of situations. They're more meant for supporting your closer range units as they move forward, or en masse, like across a field with support from behind, that they can use their machine guns to really pin down whatever's attacking them. So that's the use of these kind of units. We have now examined all the strongest infantry squads in the Axis faction. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe, and have a fantastic day.